What's the dog's name, ma'am, Lisa?
Bella.
Cool. That's fun. We'll maybe get to see Bella next week.
Oh, you mean Jim and Jan's Bella?
Oh, no, never mind. I thought you said the dog's name was Bella.
Oh, Stella.
Stella. Okay.
I have some friends down here. They actually live in Yakima, but they come down here and they have a dog named Bella, and I'm taking care of her in about a week just for the day.
Okay.
Like, do you know them?
Bella and Stella.
Yes.
That's fun. There's Manoff with his hand up. Good.
Ma'am, I have one doubt, ma'am. In America and India.
Manu, let them start.
Sir, only once I want doubt. 5 minutes.
We don't have 5 minutes. It's a long lesson today. But if you have
We
one
have
little
to
question.
cover Manu the lesson.
Yeah, it's a big lesson today about cars, about the
Yes.
driverless cars.
Yes, send me a very, very huge notes.
Yeah.
Shall we start?
Yeah,
Since
yes,
it's a-
ma'am. Just a minute.
Yeah. Manoff, what was your question while they were getting ready to start? Quick question.
Ma'am, in India, ma'am, we say 100. And in America, we say 100. Ma'am, it should be only 100 also. And why you say 100? In India, we say 100. And in America, we say 100. Means it should be only one. It should be only 100. It should be only 100.
Okay, so the difference is it's slang, and instead of saying one, sometimes we say 100. And the letter A means one, so they're the same pretty much.
So if we had 300, we'd say 300.
Yeah.
Was that your question, Mana?
What, ma'am?
Was that your question about what if it's 300, we would say 300.
Yeah. So there's one, let's start on slide 1, which is up 1, I think. Go up.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, this is the starting one.
Yeah. So this was in the news yesterday. And our topic today is driverless taxis. And this news is taking place in San Francisco. In California, it has a new kind of taxi service. So I thought this would be a good thing because we talked about this when Ma'am Lisa was on vacation. So can we have the next slide, please? A tongue twister for us all to practice. So go ahead and put your mics on mute. And we'll say this together. 2 tiny tigers take 2 taxis to town. Let's try doing that 3 times while we're on mute. And do it with me. 2 tiny tigers take 2 taxis to town. 2 tiny tigers take 2 taxis to town. 2 tiny tigers take 2 taxis to town. Okay, and I'm noticing here that there's 2 different kinds of 2. One is the number and one is a preposition going someplace. And I was watching a video the other day and they pointed out that English speakers, a lot of times for the word to, they don't really say to. We have a tendency to say ta. So if, as you're writing in English, if you want to distinguish between the number 2, with the real oo sound, and the direction to, if you can substitute it with saying ta. So it could almost say it like this with an American accent. 2 tiny tigers take 2 taxis to town. To town. So does that distinguish between a lot of people? I taught in school, and a lot of people get mixed up between TWO, TO, and TOO. So if you say ta, it's TO. Would someone like to practice that and say it for the group or club?
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Okay, Unati.
2 tiny tigers take 2 taxis to town.
Yeah, and there you've got the to town, just a real short. Yeah. Someone else like to try that?
Ma'am, should I go?
Yes, please.
2 tiny tigers take 2 taxis to town.
To town, there you go. Yeah, it's just that short little to town. Right. Anybody else? One more. Okay, that's fine. Also, I wanted to.
Tiny tigers take 2 taxis to town.
Okay, thank you, Viraj. It's great to have 3 people try it. And one of the other things is that as we're together in a group, and if you're asked to read and you really are feeling unsure, we're not going to force you to read, but we're really going to encourage you to read. So it's that whole thing, because if you're really scared about reading, it's okay, but it's a small club and we really want you to be your best. So just remember that, okay? Let's go to the next slide. Okay. Yesterday we talked about the prefix dis, and so I threw in this slide about the prefix miss, which means wrongly or badly. So I'm going to ask you to think, which is the correct prefix for the underlined word. So go ahead and read that sentence in the bold, and then think whether the word spell is going to be changed by the prefix dis, or if it's going to be changed by the prefix miss. What do you think? Maitri.
Misspell.
Okay, would you like to read the sentence, please, Maitri?
Try not to misspell any words on your spelling list.
So much of this is just almost intuitive by English speakers, but it's good to make our brains just, I know a lot of you know so much about English, and I don't want to come across like I know it all or I'm talking down to you, but we're all different levels on this club together. So please just always feel free to ask questions or to teach the rest of the group if you've got something to say. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, and which prefix for dis, which yesterday we discussed means not or the opposite of, which is the correct prefix for the underlined word?
Ma'am, disappeared, ma'am, disappeared.
Disappeared, Viraj, you're right. Good job. Can you read the sentence, please, Viraj?
I can't find the remote. I must have appeared.
Okay.
Disappeared.
It must have disappeared because that preposition it refers to the remote. Disappeared. Good job. Okay, let's go to the next slide. We have 29, so we're going to kind of go fast today. Okay, raise your hand if you've heard of the word unique. Okay, Nutty's heard of it. It's the word of the day. We're going to talk about things that are very unique. Okay, let's, when do you see in this picture, Unati?
Ma'am, there are many ducks, but one of the duck is which is very yellow in color. Another are like gray in color. So the yellow duck is very unique that he or she is different from other.
Different from others. Well said. Okay, let's look at the next slide. And it's a kind of adjective that means one of a kind or different from the others, like Annette said. So my question for you today, since we're going to be talking about driverless cars, do you believe that riding in a driverless car would be a unique experience? Why or not? So when you answer this question, I really like you to use the word unique in your answer. And if you could just talk to the club about your feelings on this, and you'd say something like, it would be unique because, or you could say it would not be unique because, just using that as a sentence starter. Who'd like to talk? Maitri.
Yeah. So it would not. It would be unique because like we have never experienced a driverless car before, and it would be a new adventure for us.
Nicely. Okay, just exactly what we wanted. We wanted to use that speaking practice with that sentence stem. Is there somebody else that would like to talk about what their ideas on driverless cars would be?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, please, Unity.
Ma'am, it would be a unique thing to just have an experience in driverless car is because we have never experienced that, and that's a new thing for us. That's very unique to us is because it is different from others.
Yes, it would be very different. Somebody else. Thank you, Anati.
Ma'am, can I say that?
Oh, please, sir.
Yeah. Ma'am, I think it would be so scary that we can't trust the machine to such an extent. If something happens, like a human can take the decision at any moment as per the situation arises. But a machine, we do not know whether it will take the proper decision or not. Like something come on the way or in between, then suddenly how to apply brake or what to do, whether to take right turn or left turn. So whatever is being fed in the machine, it will work accordingly. But it does not have that much capability to take the quick decision like human can. Most of the time
It
we
would
see when the planes are not able to fly properly, they have emergency landings. So this is the quick wisdom of the pilot, that how to save the life of the passengers. So without driver, if a car is there, so I really feel very scary to see such things.
And to back you up, there's the movie Sully, which you might have seen, that explains the pilot that made those
Yeah.
quick decisions that saved so many people
Yes.
in a recent or a plane crash, a while ago. Anati.
I would like to add the sentence to the source speeches. Like, if it, yeah, it would be really scary. As Sir said, we can't trust the machine, but I think some people can trust because that is a machine, and everybody thinks that machine can go much more faster than humans.
These are great ideas. I wonder if any of the rest of you would like to talk about this, what your ideas are before we look at the news report. I'm having trouble seeing people's hands that are up, so
No one's
yeah.
hand is up now.
No one's hand is up?
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
then that's fine. Let's go ahead and move on. Okay, this is for someone to read. Who would like to read this?
Normally, yeah.
This experience may feel futuristic. 3 rides in Wampo robot taxi. On Monday, August 2023, Waymo began letting the public pay for rides. Its driverless cars in
It's San Francisco. San Francisco. San Francisco.
San Francisco. The New York Times dispatched sent 3 reporters around the city to test the service.
Okay,
Video.
and
Okay.
go ahead.
No, I was just reading the link which was given.
That's fine. You can read what it says past video.
Video. A driverless taxi en route to destination.
Okay, ma'am, Lisa, can you call on people to read today? That would be wonderful.
I sure will.
Thank you. Okay, so sir, can you click on the video, please? Of course, they're going to make it look perfect, right?
It is made of Jaguar.
Yes, sir, Jaguar. That logo is there.
Yeah.
That's a very nice car for them to practice with.
Uh-huh. And there you go. So that's just a short little video, just a clip. So you could imagine that you're in the back seat doing your phone calls.
How composedly she's doing the work in the back seat. She doesn't
Yes,
have any fear.
no, she's very composed. Yeah, okay. All right, so let's go to the next
Can I
slide.
say?
Not
Sorry.
Can I say something?
Oh, of course.
Ma'am, instead of that girl, I would be like, it would be very scary if something happened with me. What I'm gonna do?
Yeah, it could be, right? All right,
She's
let's go.
sitting so calm.
Well, I think we'll find today in our readings. I was surprised as I was reading this, so I think there'll be some surprises for us when all together. Okay, let's go ahead and click out of that. up at the top
Just a
there.
minute.
I think it's up at the top. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. We were talking about the name San Francisco, and here it shows the map of the United States. And there's some words in here that are hard, so I'm going to go ahead and read. Or Ma'am Lisa, would you like to read this for us?
Sure. San Francisco is most popular for its iconic landmarks, such as the Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz Island, and Fisherman's Wharf. The city is also known for its diverse culture, vibrant neighborhoods, world-class cuisine, and innovative technology industry.
So we're going to look at some of the places you might like to visit if you visited San Francisco here in the West Coast in the state of California. So let's go to the next slide. Okay,
Oh.
and things to do. Who would like to, oh, and Ma'am Lisa's going to call on people.
I'm going to call on Shivansh. Would you read, please?
Yes, ma'am. What to do during your visit to the Golden Gate Bridge? Visiting this world-famous bridge is a unique experience for everyone, whether you hike, walk, bike, shop, take a gilded tour, or just sit back and take it all in. There is something for everyone.
So when you go to a place that's unique to you and you travel, how many of you have asked for a guide to take you someplace like that you've never been before? Maitri, have you had a guide before when someplace you went?
Ma'am.
Where did you go?
It was in India, not out of India, but then we didn't knew any like new places we could visit, so we had to take a tour guide.
So you had a guided tour on that. Did you have fun on it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
right.
Sue, may I make a comment here?
Mhm.
I'm on in the large paragraph that starts with the word visiting. If you go down to the fourth line, the first word is spelled H-I-K-E. That word is pronounced hike, and you can see 2 words later is the word bike. They're spelled exactly the same except for their first letter, hike and bike. And what I want to explain here is that when you have a word like this, where there's a vowel at the end of the word, there's a vowel like I, and then a consonant, let's say K, and then an E. That first vowel, the I say that it says its own name. So in the word hike, because there's an E on the end of it, the I sounds like an I. It says its own name. It says I. A lot of times when we say the letter I, it's I, like sit, S-I-T, sit. So it's often the I sound. But when you have a word like hike or bike, do you see where there's an E at the end? So there's the vowel, the consonant, and then the E at the end. In that situation, very often, that first vowel will say it, it'll say its own name. So it's an I and it says I. Does that make sense to everyone, the way I explained it?
Mhm. Yes, and then the E is silent.
E is
too, so,
silent at the end, thank you, yes.
Yep.
So hike and bike.
yeah, and if you wanted to make it past tense, then you'd say hiked, biked. Even though it's an E, you say it at the end. So
Well, yes,
let's go
you'd add a D.
a D, yeah, but yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go to the next slide.
Oh,
Is it
Mana, would you read this one, please, Mana?
Ma'am, can I read after this?
Sure. Unati, would you read this page, please?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Things to do. Escape to Alcatraz Island. Is it correct?
Yes.
Alcatraz Island, also known as the Rock. Alcatraz was once of the highest security prison that housed some of the USA's most famous prisoners. It is now a national park and a popular tourist destination.
Okay. And that's one thing you can do with a guided tour. Okay, let's go to the next page.
Matri.
This, by the way, this is the word wharf, W-H-A-R-F. And do you see where those docks go out into the bay? Those are wharfs used to unload goods and services to go inland or to go out onto ships. So wharf.
Yes.
Ma'am, can I read?
Matri's turn.
Things to do. Fisherman's Wharf. This is one of the city's busiest tourist areas. Take a famous cable car to the waterfront. Souvenir shops and stalls sell crab and chowder served in bread bowls. There are sea lions living nearby.
Thank you.
So one of the fun things to do in San Francisco that you don't want to miss, besides going to the wharf where you can have this delicious food, if you look at the bottom picture, in the bottom right, you'll see an orange vehicle, and that is called a cable car. And San Francisco is famous for these. It's a very hilly city, and you can get on the cable cars, and they will pull you up hills. And it's a way of transportation that's a little bit like a train and very fun. Okay. I think that's it for that. Let's go to the next. All right.
Manav, would you like to read this one?
Yes, ma'am. We have to read both. I will read only one.
Just, you can read both sides. That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay.
You can do it.
Is San Francisco read for this new mode transportation? For several years, San Francisco's highly and congested.
Congested.
What, ma'am?
It's pronounced congested.
Congested streets have dubbed as
Double.
a test.
Double.
Doubled as the test trucks for hundreds of drivers cars operate by Waymo. This complaint is
Company.
owned by
Company is owned.
company is owned by Google
Corporation.
Corporation and the General Motors
General Motor.
Corporation. General Motor Corporation.
So if you Google, it's just a big corporation. And, you know, we in the United States, we say when we search for something on a search engine, we say we Google it. It's that common for us to use here. Do you use Google as much in India?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
Yeah,
different?
sure, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's huge. So they've put a lot of money into these driverless cars. And good job, Mana, for figuring out how to say Waymo. I looked for that little word way and then the two letters after it, mo. If you look here in the picture, you'll notice there's a cable car, two cable cars actually, if you look into the background, going up and down a very steep hill. Beyond them is the bay, the San Francisco Bay. If you were to look left of the bay, you would see the Golden Gate Bridge. And in this reading from the New York Times, they're going to talk about going by driverless car to the Golden Gate Bridge. So kind of, if you can picture the layout, they call it the city of the hills and the bays. So let's go on to the next slide.
Ma'am, can I read?
Yes, that's fine.
Waymo's taxi rides began as tensions escalated over the driverless cars in San Francisco. Last week, a cruise driverless car collided with a
Collided.
fire truck. Collided with a
Collided.
fire truck. Yes. Responding to an emergency. Cruise and Waymo are not the same company.
Okay, we're gonna then Waymo. There again is that little word way and mo afterwards. So let's look at the news video.
Who says you need a big office to build a business? Who says you need to have a lot of employees? You know what? You can build a business from home and make crores online. My name is Siddharth Rajshekhar. I've made over 50 crores in knowledge business.
Once again, a cruise auto driving taxi is causing problems for firefighters. This time, a crash with a fire truck and with a passenger inside. Cruise tweeting part of the story saying the autonomous car was hit by the truck en route to an emergency as it entered the intersection on a green light at Polk and Turk Street in the Tenderloin. It happened a little after 10 last night. San Francisco police say the truck's lights were on and sirens were sounding. The passenger was treated on scene and taken to the hospital in an ambulance. The company telling the Chronicle the passenger's injuries didn't seem severe as they were walking and talking to emergency responders before going to the hospital. That same night, another cruise car involved in another crash, this time on 26th and Mission. The company says this driverless car did not have any passengers. Similarly to the other incident, it entered an intersection on a green light and was hit by another car running a red light. Cruise says the driverless car did detect the other car and put on the brakes, but it was still unable to avoid the crash. The driver of the other car was treated and released at the scene.
Okay, thanks for playing
I'll
that.
bring you some breaking news from Russia now. Well,
Okay,
Ma'am, as
so
sir said, that's very scary and just not trustable car. So here's the news which you can see.
yeah. And you know, Unati, that is the interesting part of this. And what I like about this reporting is they're going to now go into a different side of the story. And I think it's really balanced reporting because they're showing you the scary parts first. But if you think about some of the people that are on the road, there's way more accidents with human drivers than there are with these driverless cars. So
Yes.
yeah, so I think we're going to hear two sides of the
So we
story.
have two sides.
Yeah.
So
Pros
we
and
have
cons.
two sides, advantage and disadvantage.
Yes, and then if there was to be a debate, you know, we could even split up sometimes and maybe we could come up with a debate, people for driverless cars, people against driverless cars with facts and reasons to back up your opinion. So let's go to the next.
Yeah.
Let's go to the, yeah, excuse me, Shivansh. Oh, sorry.
Ma'am, these cars are working on petrol or electricity?
I believe it's petrol. At this point, yeah. Would you, okay, Ma'am Lisa, I want to pick someone.
Siobhan, I think we've gone through everybody. Siobhan, you want to go again? Your turn?
Okay.
Thank you.
Waymo has had
Fewer
headline worthy troubles. In May, one of these cars struck and killed a small dog a few years ago. A driverless Waymo car with human safety driver operating the vehicle hit a pedestrian who need to be taken to the hospital.
Pedestrian is a big long word for someone who's walking. It means someone was walking and they were hit by the vehicle.
So Waymo is trying to say, wait a minute, it's the Cruise Corporation that's having all these troubles running into fire trucks. We have a clean record. Let's go ahead and put our cars on the road. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide.
Yeah.
Okay, Viraj, would you read this one, please?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, trip A disembodied woman's voice said through the speakers of a driverless taxi that was about to pick up a fare near the colorful Victorian houses known as the Painted Ladies.
So the Painted Ladies are another very popular landmark. People will travel far and wide on guided tours to go down this row of houses and see. They were built around 1900, late 1890s. Just really beautiful homes, painted bright colors. So they're known as the Painted Ladies. And I underlined that word at the top. And would you, the disembodied. So if you didn't know what that word is, do you see a small word in there that you could put together with dis, the woman's voice? Anybody got a meaning for disembodied?
No, ma'am.
Yes, Unati.
I said no, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Okay, somebody want to guess what disembodied means? Dis means not. Okay, so do you see, take out the two letters EM, and then the end of that word says bodied. So if that's your hint, bodied. Use that for a hint. It's a, sir, do you want to give them a hint? I'm looking at the word, oh, okay. Edwood's actually gonna, are you gonna guess, Edward?
No, ma'am, the colorful can mean.
Yours cut out. We're looking at the word disembodied.
Existing without body is like you can say separated from something, disembodied.
So does that make sense? So if you're hearing a voice that's made from a computer, does a computer have a body? Edward?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So hello, Trip.
Colorful Victorian houses known as the Painted Ladies mean.
That means, see the houses behind the car that we're mentioning, that those are a famous landmark in San Francisco. So that's where he got picked up, is in front of those pretty houses. But back to that word disembodied. I see the word body, and dis means not, so it just simply means there's not a body. The woman's voice is a computer generated voice. Okay, so let's go to the next page.
Hello, ma'am.
Oh yes, Manav.
Ma'am, this Waymo is there. This cars, electric, this non-drivers cars are there. Ma'am, these cars are from government. Yeah, we can buy that.
I don't think so, and it'll find out just a little bit later how expensive they've been. So, okay, Ma'am Lisa, do you want to pick somebody?
Excuse me.
Ma'am, can I go?
Yes, Nati.
This experience may feel futuristic. The voice said, please don't touch the steering wheel or pedals during the ride. For any questions, you can find information in the Vampo app, like how we keep our cars safe or clean.
And you want to read the caption underneath the picture?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Taxis are ordered via a cell phone app.
Okay, nice. Let's go to the next page.
Ma'am,
Oh, yes, Shivansh? I'm sorry.
ma'am, in this car we can drive alone, or we have to do auto drive only.
You can drive alone. So it'd be really an advantage for you if you don't have your driver's license yet, because perhaps you wanted to go someplace and you had the money to pay the cab fare. Perhaps that would take you someplace. I don't know. For people that don't drive yet, seems like it would be a good deal. You were talking about painted ladies, Edward, and